Get going. All right. Hello, everybody. We are here on another Motivational Monday, and today I have a guest who, in her videos, um, just encompasses basically the motivational messages, inspiring messages, um, and she's a really cool person, and you probably got a really, I haven't went over it with you when we were talking before, a really interesting um, story. Uh, I'm sure to get you where you're at and what you're sharing now. And one of the things I was watching before you popped up was how you said you being vulnerable and open and all that stuff really brought you out to life and really made things, as far as your creativity go, really shine. And once I shared everything about me, it was the most therapeutic thing that I've ever done.
Mm, for sure. Well, thank you, Bob, and hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I was telling you before that this is my first live, so it's very exciting and a little bit nerve-wracking, but I'm sure that we're going to have a good discussion. I'm really looking forward to it.
Hmm.
Um, you hit the nail on the head, saying that vulnerability can be extremely healing. I find that I think of it as like a dark room. Nothing will like break that darkness, just like a candle will or a light to completely change the scene. And it's the same when it comes to the shadows of our soul. Ex- Being open about what you're going through provides healing and immediately breaks that darkness. And I actually started applying this to my life when I read a book called or trilogy called Conversations with God. Have you read that book?
I haven't read that book, but I'll probably add that to my list because that's that sounds like, especially if you're recommending it from. She puts quotes and stuff in her videos, guys, from different places, so it's really good. But go ahead with the
Thank
book.
you. Thank you. Yeah, it's a really great book. It does have a sort of Christian flavor, but ever so subtle. Even if you're not a believer in anything specific, this fundamentals are so powerful. And in that book, he speaks about how one of the things that's messed up with the world is the fact that it's become socially acceptable to have secrets. And then the more those secrets become acceptable to have, the bigger the secrets become. And so that's why there's all these terrible things happening, because it's socially normal that you'll have the self that you present to the world and then the self that you kind of keep away. So after reading that line, I decided that I want to try to get all the skeletons out my closets. And it's a nice way to live. I still struggle with it sometimes. Sometimes you do things that you're ashamed of or you feel embarrassed. But the reality is that if you're living very harmoniously and consistently, even when things seem to fall apart, just knowing that you're trying your best, that you've been open, it's a nice feeling to fall back on.
And I explain it as well, especially if you're on YouTube. If you put everything out there yourself, nobody that's a troll or whatever is ever going to be like, I dug this up on you and look at this. This is what kind of person they really are, because all the people know about you.
Mm, definitely. And it's a great way to connect to. Like I started realizing kind of late primary school, early high school, I felt like I didn't have that many friends. And I had people there, but nobody really to call when times were really tough. And it really took me, I don't know when I figured it out exactly, but I started thinking that I was being closed off to other people and yet expecting everybody to be open towards me. So I really think that human beings absolutely need connection. And one of the best ways to connect is by being the first to lay down your guard. And I try to be that to people around me. Like I said, it's definitely not always perfect, but at least trying to abide by these principles of being the first person to take the first step, letting your guard down. It's freeing, and it also allows you to connect. So that's a double win for me.
Yeah. And once once I laid it all on the line, I saw more support, more comments on my videos, more everything. And so you know, she's telling you this stuff now. I watched a lot of her videos, and she will explain to you guys this side of it. You know, um, there's a lot of other YouTube videos that'll teach you, you know, shooting and editing and all that stuff. But I think your videos in particular, um, and for those that don't know, we had a little communication thing. She had some stuff go on, and I wasn't sure if I was going to have her on this Monday because you know I like to research everybody, but I popped on her videos and I was just hooked. I went and through and binge watched them, and it was really interesting to hear your messages and um, just to see the level of work and stuff that you put into your videos. So, and if you guys don't know, I mean, she's when I last looked, she's at 399 subscribers. And if you go watch her videos, you'll see what I'm talking about. Especially if any of you guys that watch a lot of YouTube like I do, she's up there in quality, like 100,000 subscribers. You know, she puts in the effort and the work. And so if you guys like what she's saying, please, you know, go check her channel out and go leave her comments and just you know treat her like the rest of the family, you know, like we do in here, because she's she's putting in the work and the effort, and she wants to succeed at this. And so you're at 402 now, so already got you some this morning. So
Oh, great. Yay.
because
400.
yeah, because you were talking, you know, especially before 1,000, every single one is just, it gives you that encouragement, you
Hmm,
know, to do
definitely.
more. So
Definitely.
why did you start your channel originally?
Firstly, thank you for those kind words. I really appreciate that. And it's a little bit serendipitous actually to be here today because I've been going through a rough time the last few weeks for a couple of reasons, and it feels a bit ironic to speak about tough times when I know that I'm very fortunate and very blessed in so many ways. In fact, I just filmed a YouTube video last night about this topic. It will be the next one coming out about why the week has been rough. So I won't get into too many details, but having your support and appreciation for my content, it really lifted me up over the weekend. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, no problem.
Regarding why I started the YouTube channel, I think the main reason was because I look to YouTube for everything. Like I always joke about it. If you have to look in my search history on YouTube or Google, if there's any problem I'm going through personally or anything, I go to YouTube. So I've had a lot of motivation and inspiration. I've come out from the darkest times from some YouTube channels, and they've helped me so much. And so the main reason was kind of to do my bit and to try to help people in the way that I've been helped. Even though at first I didn't know where it would go, I didn't really. Only recently have I started to really refine my ambitions and to start to see a big picture here with YouTube because of how much joy it brings me. It's been kind of like therapy for me.
Hmm.
Sitting in front of the camera, it's been like a mirror, you know, to with myself, and I've learned a lot about myself and the effort and compiling the video. I've had to learn new skills, which has been great. So, initial reason was to contribute in some way, even if I just can put a smile on someone's face at any time. That makes me really happy. Sometimes I get comments from people that say, "I didn't know that other people were feeling this way. I didn't know that other people were struggling with this." So just hearing that was awesome, and that makes me feel like, okay, that's me fulfilling my purpose, my bigger
Hmm.
purpose in some way. So it's been so great for anyone who wants to do it. And Bob, I know that you've seen tremendous benefits. I'm sure that you deciding to go on this adventure that you're on is in some part related to your participation on YouTube. It
Hmm.
motivates you to do the things that you've always wanted to do. Would you say the same?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's uh, um, especially the comments. Like people, people don't understand. Like I was telling you, you know, about the channel that shouted me out. You know, it's got 65,000 subs. You know, and after we were talking and all that stuff, because he's become friends with me now. So we were talking, and I said, man, you know, your videos got me through some really hard times. Like it just for that, however long video was, whether it's 15 minutes, 20 minutes, or whatever, it got me through that day, and just It made me feel better. And he wrote back and he said, your words of encouragement helped me out. So when you guys go and leave comments, like she was saying, the comments on her thing, it's one of the best things that you can do for somebody on YouTube is to leave a comment on their stuff, because it really, really helps out. And yeah, the adventure that I'm going on, I just got back from camping and meeting a YouTuber up there, and everybody that I've met on YouTube, and I don't know if it's been your experience, but everybody I've met on YouTube that's a YouTuber, the community of YouTube and people that do it seems to be one of the best communities on the internet.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Most people seem to support each other. So what
it's been kind of ironic. I'm sorry, I'm speaking over you.
Oh,
what were you going to say?
I was gonna say, along with those comments, when did, like, how many subscribers did you think was crazy that people wanted to hear what you had to say?
I think probably 100 was the first time, because a YouTube subscription is it's different to an Instagram like or a Facebook follow. There's so much inertia that's associated with a YouTube subscription, because think about how many videos you watch and yet you don't subscribe to the channel. You can genuinely be truly impressed and entertained and appreciative of like someone's video, but you usually need to see some level of consistency, 2 or 3 videos, quite a lot before you hit that subscribe button. So it's got this inertia and weight to it. And I think once I had 100 subscribers, I was like, okay, there are 100 people out there that either like just feel bad that really like me, or that got some value from the content. And some of those subscribers were not people that I knew, so that felt good. The 100 really felt good, and the first 100 is, I'm sure, the hardest, and then the 1,000, and the more you grow, the easier it becomes. The beginning is so tough. You just have to hang in there.
yeah, and you are one of it's been consistent, that 100 number. There's got to be something psychological. I mean, about hitting 100 people. Do you go, wow, 100 people are able or wanting to listen to me? Well, who knows how many people are willing to listen to me then? And so it really gets you going. Yeah. And what is your? Because I've been really enjoying like your tea videos where you talk about different subjects. Either motivation or how to deal, with balancing time and how to do things in life, your life experiences and stuff like that. And you've also done a couple like vlog videos traveling around. And then I think your most recent one was talking about your DJ stuff and how to do music and stuff like that. So what one of those is your favorite to do?
I would say probably the tea time ones, the ones that you said that you enjoyed, because they are the most raw. Like I enjoy putting together the content because I'm really into like personal development and all those topics. So I've read a lot of books. I consume so much of it, and for me the best way to process it is to compile a YouTube video out of it, because it forces me to synthesize from different books, different ideas and areas, and so I'm more likely to apply these things in my own life. Definitely not an expert, but having to process it and relay it in different words helps me to understand what I'm engaging with. So that's awesome. But I think that the tea time videos are my favorite, because that's where I can kind of speak a little bit more stream of consciousness about what's going on. And there are so many different factors to one's life in any case. So sometimes I feel like when I'm doing the how to do this, how to do that videos, they might be good from the search point of view, which was what was encouraging me to go that way, is to have some sort of searchable content, things that people will look up and try to provide an answer to their question to get the channel to grow. But when I do just speak from the heart and the tea time of like, this is what happened to me this week, it was good for this reason and bad for this reason, those are the most fulfilling, because even though I might have slightly lower views on that because of the difficulty of making them SEO friendly, the engagement was really like, the fewer people were really moved, let's say, but by what was being discussed. And like, I'm very inspired by this live stream thing. And I'm thinking maybe I should do live streams like this of the more like natural stuff. You know, when I'm having a bad time, and I feel so much better after filming a YouTube video. Do you ever feel the same way? Like your spirits are lifted?
Yeah, I do. Um, I enjoy it, and I mean, the video that I just filmed and the interview that I just did, I am so excited for you guys to see it, and that comes out tomorrow. I'm so and yeah, I mean, anytime that I felt like started to feel bad, like, oh, you know, I'm not sure about the path I'm on or whatever, I just go film something, even if I don't use it. I'll just go film something because it reminds me of the parts of the whole thing that I enjoy. Because,
Mm,
you know, I might not always be happy with, like the search engine part of it, the hashtags part of it, all that stuff. That stuff's not fun. I'm not going to sit
mm.
here and tell you guys that that part of YouTube is fun. It's not. It's not.
It's not.
That's office, a data input basically is what that part of it is. It's a
Mm.
necessary thing, but it's not the fun part. The fun part is filming. The fun part's creating. The fun part's doing interviews like here with you, and it it really, like you're saying, it motivates me to do more, and that's why I do so many videos. Just having those videos out there, and I love getting the comments. So putting another video out there, I got more comments to respond to. And it's one of my favorite things. And so I think, like you're saying, it really really motivates you to get going.
Mm.
And have like you're talking about the comments, like have there been any, like, whether it be big YouTubers or just comments that like really touched your heart like deeply, and it just made you, besides one that you told me about, that really made you happy that you're doing what you're doing?
I think most of the engagement that I get that is the most moving to me are not the comments that are visible. Is people, replying on Instagram and sending me a direct message with something that they probably wouldn't feel comfortable with putting online, and I understand. But with somebody, sometimes I get really long messages from even, people who I haven't met, or my friends, or anybody, just saying like, I really was struggling this week, and I felt like I was very alone because of this feeling that I had. And having you express that allowed me to see that I'm not. And, just all human emotions, every single person feels the same range of emotion. It's just that our triggers might be different. And the amount
Hmm.
of time that we spend dwelling in an emotion might be different because of, maybe our practices. So, people who meditate tend to have a little bit more control over their emotional space, but meditation doesn't have to take the form of like sitting in, this position for hours. It can be anything. It can be fishing or walking. It's just entering that space of full presence. So the more present you are, the more control you have over the emotions. But everyone has the same range. I think about it like the people that I look up to that seem to have the life that I always want. And we were speaking about the shadows of our soul a little bit earlier, and how certain situations, daydream, thank you. We were speaking about how certain situations like music can bring about these qualities in ourselves that we don't like. It can make us feel jealous and competitive in a negative way. And the more, when I think about it, I know that everybody experiences jealousy, anger, frustration, all of these things. Even the most wealthiest, most beautiful person that seems so perfect online, they experience the same range. So I think that the more that we can start to communicate about the reality of the fact that we're all human, and emotions are just appearances in the experience of consciousness, it doesn't mean anything about you as a person. They're going to come no matter what you do. You can't really control them, but you can control your response to them. So anytime that I receive a comment or a message that shows like appreciation of that belief, it really makes it all worth it for me.
Yeah, and I I'm blown away of messages that I've gotten myself, and emails and stuff like that, because it's just it. And I don't know if I don't know because I haven't dealt with a lot of this in my life. Like, I've had a hard life my whole life, so it's all new to me having people say, you really helped me out and stuff like that. So it's been, I don't want to say it's not overwhelming is the right word, but it's just a completely new experience for me. And so it's been something that I've been taking in and enjoying step by step. And I think it's because, and I kind of talked about this where I was just at, is once I opened my mind to positivity and took in positive messages, everything else that I hear from people, whether it's advice or whatever, sounds completely different in my mind than when I was negative all the time.
Mhm. Definitely. And I think, I don't know if you're familiar with, let me see if I can remember her name. I always forget it. She's the blonde lady. She's UK's most esteemed psychologist, so they call her. If somebody remembers who's watching, please let us know. I'll see if I
Yeah.
can remember her name. But she has this pretty simple message. And that's one of the things that I actually love in this world. The people who are, the most successful on YouTube or in the world who have the most support, it's actually pretty simple what they're speaking about always. It's just clean and easy to repeat in a single sentence, which I think is I think is important. She speaks about how self-talk is so important. So she encourages everybody to give yourself praise when you're in the shower. So it's something that I've started to do is, give myself compliments like, you're understanding, you're kind, you're hardworking. Tell yourself the things that you wish that your dad said to you, that your teacher said to you, that your girlfriend said to you, whether you heard them or not, because the most important things in the most important thing that defines your life and who you are the stories that you tell yourself about yourself. And even when you hear good things, it can contribute in building up your confidence, but until you're willing to take in that message, it can just fly over your head. You'll think that people are trying to manipulate you into believing something and that it's not true. So it really is, self-love. It sounds very corny, but it is pinnacle. I remember when I did life coaching training last year, during the course, they opened the course with the line, if you want to change your life, you have to change the stories that you tell yourself about yourself. And I get goosebumps even just thinking about it now. It really is fundamental to everything. So I'm so glad to hear that now, you might have had a very tough life, and everyone obviously goes through a whole range of different things, but to come to that point of saying, okay, I can bring value to this world. And that's what YouTube has shown me. Everybody has some value to bring to this world, and YouTube really provides an opportunity for you to leverage that and to see that. And if you stick with it, you will be successful in one way or another. Success can be just building that confidence, building skills, building a community, earning money, whatever it is. So I'm so pleased to hear that that's where you're at the moment.
And Paul had a comment in here.
Yes, yes, Marissa Pierre. Thank you, Paul. On the money. I am enough. She says that the biggest sickness ailing this world is the belief that everybody thinks that they're not enough, and how true. It's like the core message when you think about any issue you're having in life. If you go back many steps, you land up with the fundamental belief of that you're not
Hmm.
enough. So Marissa Pierre, amazing, life
Yeah.
changing. Thank you, Paul.
And in our epic RV adventure, he's got another one as well.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a very good one. I like that. So true. So true.
Yeah. And when you said the stories that you tell yourself about yourself, I think that's huge, because a lot of times in my life, I would look at the story and it would always be that I did wrong. And that's, it was always that I was in the wrong. And it took a while till I realized, no, maybe you weren't in the wrong this time. Maybe somebody else was in the wrong, and you're just, hard on yourself because
Mhm.
that's what you've experienced. And you, I don't know your whole life experience, but um, what has happened before in your life that you've overcome that you'd like to share with us, like to show people, hey, you can change your mindset.
Hmm. Yeah, sure. Well, there definitely are a lot of things that sometimes I think back and I cringe, thinking about some of the things that I experienced and went through. And I think that the victim mentality is something that we all do. It's just a part of being a human being, to lesser or more extent. And I think it's, that thing of everything is being done unto me, or it's my fault, or everything's done unto me. Those can both be to the extremes bad. Somewhere in the middle might be the best way to go about things. But I think that for me, one of the best things that I think I overcame was I used to self-harm. When I was in primary school, I was bullied quite a bit. And the education system, I mean, let's not go too deep into the topic, but they don't really teach you how to handle these strong
No.
negative emotions. And I mean, you have hormones. As a human being, you want to impress people. You want attention. That's just like our innate common thread that we all have. Everybody enjoys it. That's why we all enjoy social media. We want to engage. We want to be liked and all these things. And to deal with not having that when you're very young and being contrasted with so many people who do, and then being bullied on top of it, I didn't have tools at my disposal. So the only
Hmm.
tool that seemed to make sense at that time was, I'm hurting. Let me shift the focus from this emotional pain to this physical pain. And it would be numbing for me. And it helped me at that time. But in retrospect, our bodies are our temples. And this is the only body we have. And I just wish that I could go and tell every little girl and boy out there struggling with that there's so much complexity. Only hurt people hurt other people. Those
Hmm.
people that are bullying you are doing it because there is something that they're dealing with at home, or that they're going through some identity challenges. Whatever it is, that's what the root is of them treating you like that. So I think that, and I would be on and off with the self-harming for several years. And then I think when I kind of got to, I started off by self-harming because of the pain that other people were inflicting on me. And then I was self-harming because I was not being matching up to my own expectations in my life. So I would try to do ear training, and I was trying to acquire perfect pitch. And I would like do the exercises and not be able to recall the pitch, and then I would cut my thighs or something like that. And it was such unhealthy behavior. This trying to propagate perfectionism and all these impossible things. And I think just getting to the point of realizing that if I'm ever going to be a mother, it's my duty to fix myself. If
Hmm.
I'm ever going to be consistent in my life, I cannot try to give advice to somebody else when I'm out here absolutely destroying and abusing myself. Surely that there's another way to do this. And so I started to speak up a little bit more about my pain and use communication as a way
Right.
to get through things. So that was probably the biggest thing I overcame, because it was an addiction of sorts.
Hmm.
And to let that go was a big thing for me.
Yeah.
I'm reading Vicky's statement here.
Yep.
Sometimes it's hard to get over the victim mentality, but in order to do it, we must remember it's a choice, and we work hard to do it and keep it. Definitely. Yeah. Making a
Yep.
decision is always the first step. And I like to remind myself that once you've made a decision, the first test comes very soon thereafter. Have you ever noticed that, Bob? Like, you make a decision, you're like, yes, yes. It can be something trivial, like, I'm going to go on a diet, and then literally somebody will walk past with a cake in front of you, and you're like,
Yeah.
maybe I'm not supposed to do it. That's life testing you, and the first test comes soon. Do you
Hmm.
experience that?
I do. I do. And I've experienced so much that right after I started this, I said, "You're going to test me, God. Do it right away. Give me a big test, because I want to be able to deal with something happening I I don't expect, and I am shocked at." And I had uh, something happen where I thought I was going to have somebody scheduled, and it didn't end up working out. And instead of getting myself in a self spiral of hatred of myself or anger, and then well, why are you doing this? It's no good, and all that kind of stuff. I stopped myself, and like you were talking about with you know, with the cutting and the stuff and the education system, what I had to learn all the tools I have in my toolbox now by going to therapy and learning how to do that, and learning to recognize when I'm having um, thoughts that are irrational and that aren't great thoughts to have, and where it leads. But I had to be taught those tools, and most of us don't have parents that necessarily know those tools that can teach us. And you know, like you're saying, everybody that's a bully or whatever, it all comes from pain. And so if you look at your comments and people are not leaving you nice comments, I want you to realize that that's all they have in their life, is to leave you a bad comment. They watch your video and leave you a bad comment, and that's their enjoyment out of life.
Mhm.
So I feel more sorry for people that that's all they have to do, than I do take it personally about anything that's said about me.
Mm, definitely. And I think, platforms like YouTube are an example of the amazing resources. I feel so blessed to be alive at this time. Sometimes I think about our parents, and you were speaking about how, not thank goodness we're here on earth. We wouldn't be here
Mm,
without our parents, but sometimes family can be really, really challenging. Sometimes you can get into situations with people who have so much hurt and haven't done that work to heal themselves, and that can really cause a lot of trauma for you. But sometimes I think too, how difficult it must have been for our parents and grandparents and things to grow up without access to these tools. So you have this flawed education system, probably a really prejudiced society, whether you're female or of color or not wealthy, whatever the things were, and a feeling of no way to escape that. Certain things were completely the norm, like beating your kids, all those things that was completely normal. So you came up in that society without access to tools of how to, now we have YouTube and books online and so many ways to communicate and equip ourselves. So I feel very blessed to be able to have access to that. It doesn't mean that it's always smooth sailing times. Like sometimes I'm a little bit shocked because I experience what I call spiritual backtracking. You think you're making all this progress and, things are moving forward. I'm learning so much. I'm feeling so good. And then boom, life, and you feel
hmm
like crap out of
Yeah.
nowhere. And it can really suck. But that's why I like to think of life as a spiral. You come to
hmm
the same point, but at a different level and at
Yep.
different stages in your life. And so I like to remind myself of that and be a little bit more compassionate. But I'm grateful for the tools, but applying them is not always so smooth and easy.
Yeah. Yeah. And Griswold, Family Vacay, he's a teacher, and he says he tries to teach the kids that about bullies.
Mm,
So.
definitely. Definitely. That's a good one. They're very fortunate to have you as a teacher, Griswold, because those are the kind of things that would have made such a big difference to me. If somebody just allowed me, because it also opens you up to having compassion. I don't always think that the right way to deal with things is by creating an enemy or by bringing the most negative light out of that person. Like I remember my parents would get so angry when I would come home and sometimes tell them that I was hurt at school. They would get so angry and want to go in and talk to the kid and make them feel worse. And that's not it. Rather teaching people that people are in pain when they cause pain and how to deal with that pain. If only we spent more time doing that and less on other things in school. And I mean, I've really loved maths and science and everything. Like I'm a big nerd when it
Mm,
comes to those things, but it's just those are not skills that prepare you for life. And those are the most vulnerable years of your life from 5 to 18. It's
right.
unfortunate how
Yeah.
how it works.
And he says thank you
Oh,
for the kind words.
thank
So
you. Thanks for tuning in.
yes, yes. And we got 22 people, and this is her first live stream, guys. So you're really helping encourage her to know that it's all right to live stream and get good comments like your live streaming. So
This is fun. Thanks for having
yeah,
me.
no problem, no problem. Um, what are you planning for the future? I guess more tea times on your channel. What are you planning any big things coming up on your channel?
I'm in an interesting phase of converging, diverging, is what I'll explain. So I'm alternating between, like I told you, I watch a lot of the YouTube videos about people trying to. I'm just going to turn down the brightness of my light. I've got like one of these cute desktop lights.
Oh,
Then if it's too bright, I just look washed out. The sun is setting over here in Johannesburg, South Africa. So yeah, I'm trying to, sometimes I watch these videos that tell you niche down, and I'm like, okay, I'm niching way down. And then sometimes I'm like, but I have so many aspects of myself. I don't want to portray just a certain side. So it might be a little bit of a mixed bag coming over, and I'll see like what resonates with people as I'm also trying to figure out what I enjoy the most. The tea times will definitely, I think, be a part of it, maybe in the form of the live streams. I'm actually really encouraged by this. And then the vlogs are awesome because I love watching vlogs. So it only makes sense for me to make them because, you can kind of binge watch vlogs easily. But if you're getting information overload, and I talk fast, as I'm sure you can tell. So I need to maybe do less of those and more vlogs, and be better for the audience. So we'll see what people enjoy and what I
well,
enjoy.
I think it's a good mix, and I came to the realization the other day that if people are watching me and like me, then they're probably gonna like what I like. So I might as well share all the stuff that I like. That's the way that I looked at it, because I had the same thing as you. Well, I gotta kind of limit it down, and I've had people on here say, I just like that whatever we're going to do for the day, you're taking us along. Whatever you're doing, you're taking us along for the day. So I think that's something definitely, to add, like whatever you enjoy doing, like your music and stuff like that. Um, what has been the funnest gig that you've had doing your DJing and stuff?
Oh wow. Sure, so many good ones. I've been very blessed. I was telling you that I DJ drum and bass. And drum
Hmm.
and bass, I think probably the biggest audience is in the UK, followed by New Zealand. Somebody told me they heard drum and bass at the New Zealand airport. Like that's when you know the country loves drum and bass. Everybody
Yeah,
listens to it there.
yeah.
But in South Africa, we kind of have a smallish community, but people are super passionate here. So any time I get to play is really a blessing. But probably the most fun I had was at the last event that I threw. I have like a brand of throwing events, and we do like production master classes and things like that, trying to build up the community here more in South Africa. And I really enjoyed the last party because I was DJing with my friend. So that was awesome. And it felt like, one of those nights where people of all backgrounds, ages, everything are just there together to have a good time and to enjoy life. Like that's the sense that I got. And that was why, for me, partying can be spiritual in a way, because yes, okay, you can go out and just, want to get wrecked and forget everything, or you can go out and truly try to see the similarities between you and other people. And everyone is, people are obviously different, but we're also connected, and you can feel that connection so powerfully on the dance floor. So that was probably my favorite, that experience of being like, yes, this is all worth it, because it's extremely stressful to throw those events. I mean, I'm like, like they say, bridezilla. I'm like, I don't know, promoterzilla sometimes on
Yeah.
the day. My poor boyfriend, oh my goodness. But it's so worth it when you experience that feeling. It was really great.
Well, it's probably almost like you're saying, all the promotion you do and stuff like that. The That's all the work. The fun part is probably up there and doing the DJ part when you're actually DJing. That's the fun. It's all the work until you get to do that little bit of fun up there on the stage.
Exactly. And I mean, so much of life has kind of got that structure, like you were saying. Even YouTube channels, the SEO part is the admin, it's boring, and then the creation part, and that's the enjoyable part. And I think so much of life has that kind of structure of the part that we define as being menial, unenjoyable, and then the other part that's the enjoyment part. But I think you really can start to squeeze so much more from life when you almost enter a meditative state with even the things that you don't enjoy and really enjoy the journey. And I've been trying to live this out. In fact, I was meditating this morning and I was doing a guided meditation using an app called the Waking Up app by Sam Harris. Do you know Sam Harris?
I've heard of Sam Harris before and listened to some of his podcasts before. Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's just got such a sharp mind, and the way that he's able to put himself in someone else's shoes is just like incredible. And during the meditation, he said, think about the one thing that you really don't want to do today and try to employ the most present form of yourself that you can. Try to go into like the deepest meditation, applying all the techniques and everything during this activity that you really don't want to do. And so I was like, okay, wow, like I've always thought of it like, oh, I have to do this so that I can do that. So that's how I look at most activities, especially if it comes to work, like, oh, I don't want to do this, but let me do this so that I can get to do the fun stuff. But
Right.
you start to have this meditative approach to doing something and enjoy the journey, even the promoting, even the most stressful things, the tone of them can change. I'm not saying you'll be like, yay, SEO or something like that, but
Right.
the taste of it changes, and you can really start to derive more pleasure from the overall thing that you're doing. So it becomes less work and more joy and fun, as everything should be.
Yeah. And I enjoy the fact when I do that kind of stuff that I know it's leading to me being able to do more on YouTube. You know, that's how I looked at it, was like, I don't like inputting all that stuff, but I know if I do, it's just going to be better for me to be able to create more. So it's really something that you have to, like I was saying, you have to work at, you know, you always have to work at it and work at staying in the right mindset, you know. So it is meditation. That's probably part of keeping you in the right mindset. But what else do you do to make sure you keep your positive mindset as much as you can?
The two things that I think were really helpful, well, actually, there's a couple of them, and some we've already spoken about. So the self-talk part is really important for everybody that's watching today. If there's just one thing that you try that you could do a favor for me, is the next shower that you take, just use that time to give yourself praise. You know, the relationship that you have with yourself is a very important one. So when I do have weeks of doing that consistently, I'm in a much better space. And then gratitude, all the corny stuff that they say, there's a reason why. It is one of the most easily accessible high vibrational states that you can be in. It's just there. It's easy. You know, it's not always easy to enter into like the most empathetic, compassionate state, but you can be grateful at any point in time for something. And that just immediately raises your vibration. So especially in the last few weeks, I've been in a state of lack in general. I don't have enough, lacking confidence, you know, all of these really low vibrational thinking patterns, and just being able to be grateful even for, you know, this flower near me. This flower is really great because it doesn't require much maintenance. It basically looks after itself, and I'm grateful for it today. So anything around you, just find things to be grateful for. So that's a powerful one. And then visualization. And this is something that they really implored that we do in our life coaching practice, and it's been life-changing, really, really life-changing. Spending a couple of minutes every day visualizing what it is that I want for myself in 5 years, visualizing how my day will go, just in breathing energy. Everything is energy, and breathing that energy into it really does set the tone. We are masters of our own experience. And so if you can do something with intention, you will have a very different experience of the outcome.
Oh, yeah. And see you right there.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. It is serendipitous daydream about nice things that you are here with us today. I'm so glad to hear that.
And I would add one thing that I've been really trying to be aware of is to be mindful of every single thing that's going on right now, because I'm so close to 1,000, because everything's starting to happen now. I'm really taking the time to sit and think and enjoy every moment that has been happening, because if you get too wrapped up in what you're doing next, you're missing out on any awesomeness that's happening right now. And I was up there at that campground just walking around, and just I really was like, I can't believe this is my life right now. I can't believe this is going on. And so I mindfulness is really, really important for me. I know you probably use mindfulness in other ways, but that's how I use it.
Mm, wow, that's amazing. Are you familiar with Eckhart Tolle,
No.
or however you pronounce his surname? um, oh wow, he is incredible. He's probably been the single most influential author, thinker, healer that
Hmm.
I've ever engaged with. He is incredible. And he has a book, The Power of Now, which is just all about attaining the gift of the present moment. And he has since made a career just from that belief. And he actually entered into this state of joy one night, feeling at his absolute lowest. He was like on the brink of ending his life, and just somehow he experienced so much joy in that
Hmm.
at that point where he was about to end his own life. He experienced tremendous joy just from appreciating the present, just from being able to be like, look, I'm here, I'm alive, this is amazing. And Eckhart Tolle, one of he had this podcast once where he said that people send him messages all the time to ask him what course should I do, there's this happening, should I buy this book, should I go on, what all these different things that they think that they have to do in order to attain something. And he just says that if these courses look great, any of them would be a good investment, but if all that you choose to do today is to take a deep breath and be truly present for that breath, that will be more value than all of these courses today. And and that's what I think, that sometimes there can be like this balance for me, is because I'm consuming all the content all the time, the YouTube videos, the books, doing all these things, but I really am trying to transition from a human doing to a human being. Some of
Hmm.
the happiest people in the world are not the ones who are overly consumed with productivity and these material possessions or trying to attain something, but just to be content. And
Hmm.
so something else that I like to reflect on, I read one of Tony Robbins's books. Let me see, Awaken the Giant. I think it was that book, Awaken the Giant Within. And he said that he went to the Fiji Islands. He's got a house there, and he was asking the local people, what is the point of life? And they just started laughing. Like, they laughed for 10 minutes, and he's standing there awkwardly with his wife, like, what did I say something? And then they came back and they said, like, obviously it's to enjoy it. Like,
Hmm.
what do you mean, what is the purpose of life? And these are not wealthy people in our the common Western sense of wealth. These are just people who are just living good, noble lives, enjoying their time with each other. So I think the more that you can be mindful, that's what allows you to get to that joy. They're not thinking about, where do I have to be next week and all of these things. They're just embracing the gift. It's called the present for a reason.
Hmm. That's that's real. It's called a present for a reason.
Mm.
I'm gonna keep that one in my head for sure. That's really, really interesting. Um,
Yay.
you went through and did um, life coach training and stuff like that. Has there been anybody that has come to you for life coaching that you like are so impressed with how they've changed their whole lives around?
So I went for the life coaching training because I wanted to be a life coach. And since then, so many different crazy things have happened in my life, and I haven't had the right moment or felt the right moment yet to officially start with. Because really, I would eventually like to get into a practice of life coaching, to have the website and to do the full, it's like an 18-step program that they teach us to do with people. So it is, you want to do it properly. and
Hmm.
things haven't fallen, the cards haven't fallen right yet for me to take on clients and to actually do it. The biggest benefit of it for me has just been how it's helped me to deal with my own emotions. And I've shared a lot of the things on the YouTube videos, and hopefully one day I can provide like I want to make an online course eventually where people can equip themselves. That for me is the most interesting thing, is giving people the tools to be able to kind of do their own life coaching on themselves. That's what I found that I'm really enjoying, is that aspect of it, rather than, being the person to teach them all or to conduct the steps with them, rather to show them the process and give them those tools to be able to access for themselves at any point in
Hmm.
time. Not like a start and end, but a continuous life commitment.
Right. Right.
Mm.
And that's really interesting, because I think it takes a very unique individual to be willing to, you know, help another person, but help another person to the degree of, let me know everything so I can give you the direction that you're looking for in your life, or help you out find that direction that you want to go.
It's like we were talking about before this discussion, and only lately, I think you've been in the mindset that you're saying from Gary Vee, his mentality of just, give it all away. Don't hold back. Whatever he learns, he shares. He has no qualms about revealing his secrets that some people
Hmm.
would define. But there's only one Gary Vee, and that's what makes him unique. So he can
Yep.
give everybody the full blueprint for his life, and people are going to have different results. And
Hmm.
so you're doing the same thing. You were saying, like, you are so comfortable to share, even this platform that we're using for the stream, and whatever knowledge, you're so comfortable with showing, and it enriches you by helping
Hmm.
others. Like Mother Teresa says, she found that in the end, the more she gave, the more she enjoyed, rather than receiving. That part was even more pleasurable for her. And I think for myself, especially someone who deals with depression and anxiety, like I'm sure so many of us do, I've realized that a lot of my pain comes from the fact that I'm like the protagonist in my life story. It's always, oh, this is happening to me, and just so self-consumed. That's what makes us depressed a lot of the time, is our overconsumption with ourselves, our being just so preoccupied with our own narratives. So the more that I can like give and help others, it shifts my focus. So it does actually have some beneficial things for me. Just sharing everything I know, it's deeply rewarding and takes the focus off of myself for a little bit for once.
Yeah.
It's
And
good.
you're saying the protagonist. And one of the things that I've said is, you have to be the Superman of your own story. Whatever the hero is that you want to come in and save you, do that for yourself. Do that, be that Superman for yourself.
Mm.
And if you are, then you can, like you're saying, you can be that to, if you want to have kids one day or whatever, you can be that to that whoever person is, or whoever the people are that come into your life, because you've done it for yourself. So you can teach, and you can also teach people how to be that, be that Superman.
And what a better world it is that we would get to live in. Um, a, a few years ago, I started giving a lot of thought to, if I was in a beauty pageant or something like that, and they always get asked, how would you, if you could change one thing about the world, if you had one wish, what would it be? And, people, there's the common answers that everybody gives. And of course, there's so many issues that where does one start? But if you could just, for me, it was about that only people who are willing to step into the role of parents were allowed to be parents, so not just donors of, of
Hmm.
things required to create a child, but actually willing to take on that role of parenting. And I think that what it even goes to before that is children learn their blueprint of love through the way that adults behave around them. They will listen to what you say, but they will actually respond more to what you do. And so if parents could teach love and we were taught to love ourselves, I think the world would be a much better place. Because again, like what we were saying, hurt people hurt people. So what a better world we would be in if we,
Yep.
were equipped with those skills.
Yeah. And being equipped, um, for those skills takes learning those skills. And so the stuff that you're doing and sharing out, you guys can learn more about that and learn more of those skills. And even if you just watch her channel, once in the morning to start your day off with a good message instead of feeding yourself with a bad message. You know what I mean? And I take "you are what you eat" also to go into what you put in your mind.
Definitely. So. That's a good one. I mean, you get more of what you focus on. If you are, constantly watching the things that are happening on the news, and of course you should be informed. But that's actually something I've been struggling with. Speaking of consumption of things in a mental sense, I've been really trying to stay on top of what's happening in the world, but the media is portraying the things that they choose to portray. Yes, those things might be happening, but they're putting their flavor on it. And where's the good news? There's not enough of that. So the more you consume, you have to be really careful with the thoughts you tell yourself, with the content that you watch, with the things that you read. I've even stopped watching horror movies, and I really enjoyed watching horror movies. But I was thinking, like, what am I actually putting in my mind all the time? Like, I'm watching these things, but they're painting my mind with a certain color, and I will start to view the world in that way. You have to take responsibility for the lenses through which you perceive this world. There's a lot of things that happen between taking in of things on a conscious level and then that getting shifted into your subconscious mind. And you can choose what comes into your conscious mind, but you don't really have much choice of what happens from that conscious to subconscious level, and that flavors your entire world. So that's, again, the stuff that they teach us in the life coaching. So I've been a bit more mindful of how I engage with things, but obviously the last few weeks have been probably part of why I've been down, just watching so much of the news and some crazy things going on in our world right now.
Yeah, and because like you're saying, I do to stay informed. I'll look at the headlines or whatever once a day just to see what's going on. But I don't even watch any news anymore. I'll look at the headlines and see if the Godzilla is attacking yet, because that's probably the only thing left to happen this year. So, but other than that, I stay off of it because I spend so much time focusing on my channel and everything. I don't have the time to do it anymore either. So it's been beneficial to have my channel in multiple ways. What is one thing you would tell people that to check you out? Like what is your your little spill? Because I like what your ethos is, what you put down.
Yeah, the ethos, I think that underpins everything. Like, there's a whole range of different content on my channel, and if you check out my music related socials and everything, you'll see a lot of a lot of things going on. Sometimes I tease myself and I'll put my description in my profile like Jill of all trades because there's just so much going on. It's kind of comical. But I think that those three elements of the ethos is underpins it all, which is forgive radically. Forgiveness is a way of living rather than an activity to do. That comes in forgiving other people and forgiving yourself, using all of the things that we've discussed today, that understanding that you have for the plight and the gift of being a human being. So forgiving radically, living minimally. It's so funny. The more I started being really selective about what I keep in my space, the richer I felt as a person. I used to buy clothes and products and things like that all the time. Like, now I use coconut oil for everything. I've had the same makeup products for a long time. They're probably all expired, but hey, I'm alive. And I usually just wear like hand-me-downs or occasionally buy clothes that are on sale and things like that. And that for me, it's made me feel so much freer. And okay, so let's see where we are. Forgive radically, live minimally, and embrace duality. Life is, it's a mixed bag. Highs and the lows, the good and the bad. It's all just part of the experience of life. So forgive radically, live minimally, and embrace duality. That's my ethos in life.
And if you watch your channel, that comes through in all our videos, and I think you guys will really enjoy her channel. You guys usually enjoy people that come in here, and Daydream's going to be spending a lot of time there on your channel. Um, Ninth Element said you're a breath of fresh air, and they're going to be going over on your channel. So,
Oh, thank
um,
you so much.
yeah,
You
and
guys
all,
made me feel
all
good today.
yeah, all you guys go over there, and welcome her in. And I'm so glad that you came for the interview today. Um, Please go over and check out Van Life with Gina Payne. She's up next. They put the raid link in the chat, and all of Rene King's links have been in the chat. So even if you're just coming in on the replay, and they're also in the description, go check all her stuff out, her SoundCloud, all that stuff. And thank you so much. And hopefully when you get it figured out, I'll come over and be a guest on yours, because you've been
Oh,
awesome. So
yeah.
thank you so much.
I'd really like that. That would be awesome. Yes, thank you so much for everybody who's tuned in, and thank you, Bob, for your patience in
No
this.
problem.
Like we've been talking about this for some weeks, and I fell off the radar because I was going through a lull, and I feel so good about this, and I'm so glad we've had this opportunity. So until we meet again,
Yes. Thank you, guys. See you tomorrow.
bye.
Sure.